Welcome to the 2026 ChannelX Leaders Interviews, and delighted to be joined today by an old industry friend, Phil Booker. How are you, Phil? Welcome.
I'm very well, Chris, and really appreciating the opportunity of speaking with you today.
So, Phil, you've been around for as long as I can remember, for years, but you're in a new role now. Can you just introduce yourself and let us know what you're doing, please?
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly an emphasis on the word new. Along with two other co-founders, we set up an agency which is launching kind of right now, Chris. When this goes out, will coincide with the official launch of the agency, which is called 12 Camels. And we are an agency that has been specifically set up to connect retailers with marketplaces, but making sure that we are connecting exactly the right retailers with the right marketplaces, along with some other ancillary services.
Yeah. So this sounds really interesting. When you say connecting retailers with marketplaces, forgive me for being silly, but 25 odd years ago, I opened an eBay account and I just went onto eBay and clicked sign up and opened an account. Why would I need an agency? What are you doing that's special for retailers and indeed for the marketplaces?
Okay, having spent, as you touched on, thanks very much, being around for a very, very long time and working with marketplaces, which obviously meant that I've been working with retailers. What was the refreshing part of this, Chris, is that this isn't anything that's going to be deeply technology driven. We're not an agency that's coming to the market with something that's shiny and new and hundreds of millions or whatever it is has been invested into it. What we know is that there are many retailers that would love to expand their marketplace portfolio, but that comes with significant hurdles, significant barriers to them doing that. At the same time, there are many marketplaces that are obviously competing with each other to recruit the retailers. From a retailer perspective, to go through initially account applications, to go through the KYB, to go through the KYC, to into the integration process, that only gets you to sort of the first base, and then to become successful on that marketplace becomes you need the experience, and it's daunting. And I know from the marketplaces that I've worked with for many years and supported that you get to see a lot of retailers that can start that journey but don't get through to the other end. So those lapsed retailers. 12 Camels has been very fortunate that we have a parent company based in Hong Kong, a company called YAC Technology, who I met through my role at Frugo, where I was head of partnerships for the last 8 years. The differentiator for what YAC did was that they wouldn't just introduce retailers, but they would hold those retailers' hands all the way through the process. Now, YAC is Hong Kong based. They did only work with, they were only introducing Chinese retailers. Initially, those were cross-border Chinese retailers, and then very much over the last year to 18 months, an emphasis on Chinese retailers that are in region, that have got their products on the ground in the EU, in the warehouses, have the correct EU credentials, etc., etc. But as I say, the differentiator was that they would work their way through and hold those retailers' hands, and we saw very significant GTV generated through YAC Technology. What 12 Camels are going to do is that our focus is on EU sellers and UK sellers, and we will then be starting to offer the same services to the US and also looking at APAC. But what we have the brilliant sort of advantage from day one is that we're able to lean into the human resource that is sitting in Hong Kong, and the human resource that has the experience of working across many marketplaces that YAC have already had the commercial relationships with, and 12 Camels inherit those commercial relationships.
So I'm really liking this because it's not just an introduction to a marketplace. It really is a relationship, a one-to-one hand-holding, and hopefully getting rid of all that know your customer KYC stuff, the hoops that you just have to jump through, and all the regulatory hoops. So I've got to ask, kind of which marketplaces can you help with? Yeah, obviously, just about everyone in the world sells on eBay and Amazon already. What other marketplaces are there out there? And specifically, Are there any great ones in the EU? What about other territories around the world? Where should we be getting excited that 12 Camels can help us?
Okay, so you're right. Most retailers are on Amazon, they're on eBay, amongst some other sort of fairly significant players. When we're looking at the EU, I'd start off by saying a particular success story has been Allegro. Now, Allegro is probably a fairly well-known name now to the retailer community, not just in the EU, but also in the UK. I don't know if you're aware that Allegro are still to this day Europe's largest ever IPO. I think it was about 2018, 2019, the IPO for over 20 billion euros, which is just crazy. The Allegro touch, I think it's about 97% of anything that happens online inside Poland. And we're not just talking within the marketplace. Now, they have been very aggressively looking to recruit international sellers for some time now. So it's been well known that the doors are open. But to go back and what we were saying just a few minutes ago, getting a seller through that process to going live on Allegro is one thing, but being able to compete with those really seasoned, very successful Polish retailers that know exactly how to optimize, exactly how to run the advertising is something else. So this is exactly where 12 Camels will come in. We've seen through our parent company staggering revenue that was generated just in Q4 of last year. It wouldn't be right for me to give you that figure, but it is many millions of GTV that was generated through that team in Hong Kong that was hand-holding those retailers on Allegro. So that would be a really good example. If we're looking at UK sellers, UK sellers can ship directly to the Allegro customers from the UK. But during the retailer profile that we go in, and if Allegro was a marketplace that was of interest to the retailer and Allegro were interested in that retailer, certainly exploring all the logistic opportunities would be something that would be prudent. So that would be one example. Bowl, I was very lucky to be sitting at Bowl HQ just last week. Have you been, Chris?
No, I haven't, but I love Bol because similar to Allegro in Poland, Bol are another country-specific but huge penetration in country marketplace.
Yeah, just staggering. I mean, it's not just sort of turning up at an office. It's a campus, and such a brilliant team, such a happy team. And walking into an environment and everyone's smiling, you're thinking, "No, they're putting that on for the guests," but I think it's actually part of the DNA. Now, Bowl is one. I mean, every marketplace will say that they're focused on quality, but Bowl are really focused. It is that customer experience that comes above absolutely everything else. So, based on the fact that that it has been up until now through the parent company, just those enterprise in region sellers that we've been able to place on Bowl, and for Bowl to be sitting down with us last week saying, right, let's have more. That shows that we're doing the job correctly. There is such a huge opportunity on Bowl. 5 billion in GTV they did, I think, reported in for 2024. We haven't seen the 2025 figures yet, but 2024. Amazon are really sort of in the smoke behind them. I think they're not. Amazon may not be even the second largest marketplace in Holland. And again, we have the experience. It is an incredible opportunity, and they really are interested in recruiting UK sellers. This is a big part of the remit this year, and I think we would be ideally placed, almost to start that application through us. Come to us. We know the right people. We're going to be able to get some feedback almost from day one before the retailer even starts going through that process, and that's that retailer profiling process that we want to be able to do.
Something I wanted to ask you about. I can see the obvious advantages of using an agency like 12 Camels and having not just the expertise to get you onboarded, but the expertise to help you get set up with the listings, the language, the advertising, and everything else to really accelerate from day one. But the real question isn't, can you get me on board? It's, is it the right marketplace for me? Or from the other perspective, from the marketplace side, is it the right type of retailer that we want on board? You mentioned, for instance, Bol have been very particular about strong brands being on the marketplace. So maybe they don't want sort of unknown brands. How do you make sure that the retailer is a good match for the marketplace when they come along? Because the retailer might be really keen on a particular territory or a particular marketplace, but it might not actually be the right one. So how you doing this?
Okay, it's a really good question. So the initial registration for a retailer that's watching us today, Chris, and goes, you know what, let's go and visit that 12 Camels. That sounds like an interesting starting point. And there will be a very basic registration at 12 Camels. We're not going to put anything there daunting. It's kind of what you would expect to see.
Yeah, what's your name? What's your email address? How do we get in touch and have a conversation?
Absolutely, because we don't want to frighten them off at that particular stage. And certainly having a conversation with us at that stage is perfectly okay. What they're then going to be doing is they will receive a hello, thank you very much. But we've also, this is almost like a sort of a dual launch. We've partnered and helped developed a new with a new platform called sellermatch.co. We can put some links to that. Now, SellerMatch, the initial plan for SellerMatch was to, it's already featuring over 135 marketplaces across the whole of the EU, and it's a really good research point. We've been showing this to existing marketplace partners, and they're just sort of staggered and go, where have you got all that information? How did you get that information about us? So it's really good. But the retailer profiling, and this is to answer the question, Chris, this is the investment from the retailer that we're asking for. We really want to know their DNA. Now, they're not going to have to do it all in one go. Okay, so it's not like sort of looking at something that they think, well, I haven't got an hour at the moment to go through all of that. It's something that they can drop in and drop out at any particular stage. But the more we know, then the better qualified we are for making the introduction to the right marketplace. So that's going to be, I think, almost our USP. That our plan is to know more about retailers, each retailer, than quite possibly the ERP platforms that they may well be working with. Is to really know that. Now, where SellerMatch wants to go, and we are very much vested in that, is that ultimately SellerMatch will be almost a dating platform for marketplaces to go and find swipe left, swipe right. Okay, and they'll be able to view the profiles of, once we built up a really big portfolio of thousands of sellers, and go, that looks interesting, and they would be able to literally approach those, buy that seller lead. Okay, now that seller, of course, at any stage can go, well, that sounds interesting, but I want 12 Camels to help me out with the whole process. So there really is some nice synergy there. But yeah, so it will be an initial registration with us. We're then going to hold their hands. They can even book a call in with us, and we can do that seller profiling with them whilst we really get to know them. And then that's how we feel that we'll be the differentiator between how we can actually match them with the right marketplace.
And I think that's important, because I've seen so many retailers that launch on a new marketplace and for whatever reason it ends up excuse me, not being a success. And sometimes it might be they've not done the right things, but other times it's just that it's the wrong product for that country or for that marketplace. Yeah. And much better to find out before you actually do all the work of launching than after. And equally, I've seen sellers that have gone onto a marketplace and seen huge success. And wouldn't it be lovely to find a couple more marketplaces that you could also find a huge success on?
Yeah, and I think we need to turn that around as well. Marketplaces can put in significant effort and sometimes investment when they build an integration to a new ERP system. Okay, and that's done with great, with great enthusiasm and optimism, both from the marketplace that ERP is going to be introducing them to lots and lots of retailers, and that ERP believing that a lot of their retailers are going to go and list on that marketplace, because effectively that's going to be the currency, that's going to be, that's going to be the ROI. But if you're, and this is, I do understand where the ERPs are, that they cannot physically support every single retailer, but there's only a fairly small percentage of most ERPs retailers that are actually paying for a managed service. To apologise, the door was open. I know there's a dog that was desperately trying to get in through the throughout this for the last 5 minutes, but she's managed to break in. There's only a percentage of retailers, brands as well, that will actually pay for a managed service from the ERP. The rest of them are generally, okay, look, here you go. Yes, I won't name, ERP one has got an integration to marketplace B, and that retailer goes into there and it's just basically met with a how-to guide. And they make connection with the marketplace, and everybody hopes for the best, but quite often the best isn't the right outcome. So as much as we're very, very happy to work with very large enterprise sellers and brands and everything else, I think the sweet spot for us is going to be the fact that we are in a position to be able to offer a managed service to retailers that would never ever be able to anticipate paying for a managed service, because our commercial model is that we are a success-based business. If we do not get a retailer live and for them to be able to start making money or start making sales, we earn nothing. We earn nothing at all. So that could be another way that we could position ourselves as, the managed service option for retailers and brands that can't afford to pay for a managed service.
And talking of success, I also found on your website a little bit about Superstore. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that can drive sales?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I'm pretty passionate about. I've been an evangelist for Superstore. It's something that I drove through for Frugo, which, as you know, is where I've been as the head of partnerships for the last 8 years. So Superstore is everything that I've just said that 12 Camels can do for a retailer, account application, KYB, KYC, integration, everything else. Okay, it's almost like that negates that, because working with a couple of partners who will remain unnamed at this particular stage, but a couple of partners that one of them has got Superstore accounts on 57 different marketplaces, and all that is involved is for the retailer to be able to provide a feed to the Superstore operator, and after that it's completely and utterly down to that Superstore operator to be able to make a success of that. So there is no account application, there is no KYB, KYC, because the Superstore operator is acting as the merchant of record. If something goes wrong with a product that the retailer that is supplying the Superstore with, then the first port of call for the marketplace is to the Superstore operator. They don't even necessarily need to know or do know who the retailer is that sent that product out. Now, there's a lot of legalities and everything else that's put in between there, making sure that both the merchant of record and the retailer are protected and the marketplace are protected. But it's an accelerator. And by working with our Superstore operators, yes, there's 57 marketplaces that would be available sort of tomorrow, but you don't need to be able to list and be able to list your products on 57 different marketplaces.
I think this is a really exciting opportunity for those who have got really strong data, but maybe a relatively small team. And let's face it, there are many companies, massive companies, that would never be able to handle 57 different channels themselves. So to be able to access channels across the world through a Superstore sounds like a pretty fantastic solution in many ways.
And Chris, my hat goes off to the Superstore operators, because as much as I'm an evangelist for it, would I ever sort of would 12 Camels go, do you know what, we're going to run a superstore? Not for me. Okay, but the technology and everything that's in place there is absolutely first class. But it comes with some significant management to be able to look after that many SKUs from that many different retailers that are being shipped from that many different points, and one customer service. So it's quite an incredible setup, and certainly something we'd love to talk to any retailer, any brand about, because we've got some great partners that are supporting us with that.
So we've spoken quite a lot about what you're doing at 12 Camels, but just to wrap everything up, can you just talk about the power of 12 Camels? And obviously, you're new on the scene as this goes out, but as you say, you've got your Hong Kong operation that's been around for years, and various partners. What sort of business levels are you doing currently, to give people some sort of some reassurance that you know what you're doing and can handle their business for them?
Well, I can throw a figure in there, but the figure itself isn't the most important thing. So since 2018, with the superstores that 12 Camels are working with or have inherited the commercial relationships with, through our parent company, they've generated 1.5 billion pounds in marketplace sales since 2018. Okay, now that's a staggeringly high number, but the number isn't the important part. It's the experience that sits behind generating 1.5 billion in marketplace GTV that is far more crucial, and that's what we inherit from day one. If I was setting this business up today without all the investment that I would have required to set this up, to have a team with that experience with all of those different marketplaces, well, I don't even know how I could have started that, but to partner this way. So yeah, I think that the reassurance comes from that level of sales, that knowledge to generate that level of sales, and the fact that the marketplaces are still very happy to work, are still very happy working with us. And I was so flattered, really, to be there last week. I think you knew I went on a road trip. I was in Madrid, I was in London, I was in Netherlands. I was hoping to get to Germany. And the way that the 12 Camels concept has been received by some very, very well established marketplaces, obviously because they're hoping that we're going to bring them lots of lovely European and UK retailers, hopefully lots of lovely ChannelX retailers, and placing them onto those marketplaces.
So I think from what I've heard from you today, the way I would probably sum it up, you can tell me if this isn't fair, is that 12 Camels might be new, but actually the operation's been here for, well, way back to 2018, but mainly operating for Chinese brands and retailers to sell. And 12 Camels is bringing the same service for UK and European sellers on a readily proved base that's done billions of pounds worth of sales already. Would that be a fair way of summarising?
Yeah, it really would be. And that team in Hong Kong is bilingual, trilingual, quadrilingual, real sort of polyglots that that are sitting there. And I know that team is also excited about dealing and for 12 Camels to be bringing in lots of European and UK sellers to the table. But yeah, the relationship, the commercial relationships for the marketplaces have been established started getting established in 2018. But then if you look at the combined sort of experience of the management team, myself, Keith Wang from the AC Technology, we've got also Roy Elizondo, and this is really important actually, and Roy's got a phenomenal logistics background. Okay, it's all very well selling the products, okay, but how are they going to get there? And so us having a very, very strong co-founder, a co-founder that has an incredibly strong logistics background was really crucial to the setup as well. And hopefully that brings some confidence, and certainly we'll be able to answer pretty much every question when it comes to how do we get it there.
So the only question I've got left, if someone's interested, and honestly, why wouldn't they be? How do they get in touch with 12 Camels?
It just starts at 12camels.com. It's as I touched on when we a little bit earlier, it's a very, very basic sort of reach out to us. we'll get back to them. They can book a call with us, or can start the process of the sort of deep retailer profiling. Or if you're a marketplace, and I'm very much hoping that there's going to be marketplaces, take a look at who we're working with already. That brings significant credibility, and ask yourself the questions: could an agency like 12 Camels be sitting in there and supporting them as well?
And to make it really easy, I'll put a clickable link beneath this video. Phil, thank you so much for your time today.
It's really appreciate this opportunity. It's just been amazing, and good to see you again. Okay.